Guess we can do the minutes.
Yeah, we got minutes and we
And
have a
then we
road
got
crossing.
road
permit.
crossing from
I'll
somebody.
make a motion that we approve the minutes of the October 27th, 2021 meeting.
Second.
Moved and second, we adopt the minutes of October 27th. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carried. You wanna do that?
I make a motion that we approve county permit number 1103221 for a road crossing
Yeah.
in Rose Valley Township.
Second.
And moved and second, we approve the road crossing permit for Rose Valley. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried.
Not gonna repeat that number?
No,
Oh.
he read it, too fast.
Okay, then we got these.
Water line down by Mike Christie's house. We all know.
He said he had talked to Mike Christie too.
Yeah, he did. Mike called me yesterday about it.
Okay.
Sneaky that way.
Everything look good, Mike?
Yes, I reviewed it with the parties, and I think they're agreeable to everything, and so I have a place for her to sign and for you all to sign, and then it's a done deal. The only question I have is, it's my understanding she's gonna stay in possession for a period of time, but as long as that's agreed upon by everybody, then I think it's good to go. She's indicated she'll keep insurance on the property, the taxes are paid through the year, so I think everything is pretty good.
Yep.
So do we just need a motion to buy the property from, whose name's on the, is it just
Della.
Tucker?
Della.
Okay. And we don't have to give the dollar amount in open session, or do we, or?
I don't think so.
Okay. Good with that?
Yep.
I make a motion that we purchase the house and corner lot, 2 houses and a corner lot from Della Tucker,
201 and 203.
201 and 203.
Second.
Then moved and second, we purchased the,
Hold on.
It's 201 North Broadway and 203 East Second.
Right.
They're different because it's a corner lot, so.
North Broadway and East.
Second.
201 North Broadway, 203 East Second.
You second.
Yeah,
It's been
second.
moved and second, we purchased the property at 201 North Broadway and 203 East First.
Second.
Second. Can't even read while I'm writing. Second Street. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried.
And then, do you have a deed drawn up or?
Oh, I do the deed, yes. But, yeah. Yeah, that would be cool.
When we have a deed done
How soon do you want it done?
today?
Okay.
I have her check cut, I mean, it's in the file. I'd like to get her paid,
Okay,
I mean,
I'll go back to the,
Yes, Pete.
well, I mean,
notes.
if we can, let's get it done. Chop chop. Time's wasting.
Man, first you gotta be here at 8:30.
Hey, it's the day after an election, I've kind of got this little thing going today.
No sleep.
Oh, man, it's awful. You just don't get it. Did the 5 commissioner thing pass in Reno? It did.
About 500 votes,
Wow.
like 3,500 to 4,000.
What about the big sales tax and,
In Barton.
Yep,
Did they
all
pass?
3 pass?
Both of them?
all of it,
All
all
of
three.
them.
Yeah.
I was in the barber shop up there
Quality-
yesterday and they acted like
quality
it was gonna
alive.
pass.
New police station and pension program,
Wow.
so
I didn't
my
think
sister will
that.
be happy.
I didn't think that.
Do we need to make a copy of that?
That's probably a good deal.
Yeah.
That's
I'll walk
probably a
next
good
door and
deal
make a copy.
overall,
I'll go work.
I would think.
Thank
That
you.
building that they're in is like 1930.
Yeah, it's been there a while.
It's bad, so.
You looking for me?
I don't know what they're trying to replace it with. I just have heard stuff on the radio about it and saw a deal on Facebook about it, but
Yeah.
At some point, if you want nice stuff, you're gonna have to pay for it.
Oh, Carol, we'll recess.
All right. Good morning, everybody.
Morning. Got good news for us?
Yeah. Actually, it's, yeah, well, yes and no. All right. What you
Take a
have-
breath, you're not driving. You're just
I
relax a
know.
little bit.
So what you have in front of you, you've seen this before. This is an aggregate report that shows all claims throughout this current year. I've got last year as a comparison on the next page. But you currently, obviously, this plan's been in place for over 20 years. And you have a stop-loss carrier this year that happens to be, if we look in this top left box, is PACE. You have PACE, and you have an aggregate contract that is a 2412, and you have a specific contract, which is right below that, is a 1215, which this has been set up since the very beginning, and I was not part of that, and I don't know why. It makes it more confusing in that regard. But that 2412 means that any claims that occur during a 24-month period, meaning for this current year, if they incurred last year and they were underneath your specific deductible of $45,000, they incurred last year or incurred this year, but they're paid this year, they all go under the contract. So it gives you claims from last year, gives you a full year of run out potential on those, so it gives you some protection in that regard for all claims. This is the umbrella claims. The specific contract is that individual contract that you have any claims that occur during this 12 months, but then you have 3 months of run out that those claims can get paid to, so they fall underneath your stop loss contract. So you have a run in on the aggregate contract, and you have a run out on the specific contract. And it's not uncommon, but it's just not what I like. I like as a contract. I'd rather that be a 1224, so that way you had run out on both sides of things. But you've got protection in that regard right now. Either way you go, it just makes it a little bit more complicated. But you have a specific deductible, so you cover the first $45,000 on each individual, and then you have an aggregating deductible. That is it's a one-time deductible of anybody who hits the 45, or hits the specific deductible. That's a one-time over the group. Why do we do that? Well, the stop-loss carrier says, hey, we're gonna give you $50,000 of premium credit in order to take on that $50,000 of risk. So it's a no-brainer. It's identical. If it happens throughout the year, then you pay for it. If it doesn't happen, then you don't have to pay the premium for it. And I'll explain that a little bit more when we look at the proposal. But it's a one-time deductible. So if 3 of us hit 45,000 and collectively we go over by 50,000, you pay that. If one person spends 95, that would take care of that one-time deductible. We've had a couple of years where it's benefited you, and we've had most years you still pay it. It just it's just a way of potentially saving some dollars. So going at the top is just your enrollment count. You can see you've gone up just a little bit throughout the year on total employees. You started the year with 44 on the plan. You've been at 47 for most of the year now. The monthly attachment point, that's that ceiling of claims that you pay for the entire group. As you can see, each year, each month, depending on how many you have enrolled and what tier they're in, that goes up. So you were setting aside about $49,000 at the beginning of the year. Now you're setting aside about $54,000 per month for claims. Okay, the premium billing, that is what you pay on a monthly basis. That is your stop loss premiums, your network, your admin fee. Our fee is in there as well in that premium billing. So that's what you pay. The majority of that is all stop loss premium, and we'll talk about that again when we look at that. And it gives you a per employee per month of about $1,100, or between $1,100 and $1,200 is what you're currently setting aside for your insurance program. Any
The
questions
very
on that?
last one is per employee per month.
It is.
That's what we're setting aside for them?
That's if you add this monthly attachment point, which is
Okay.
for claims and the premium billing.
So the 2 months where we only set aside 670 or 680 are probably months that we had big claims?
No, that's a mistake on there. Thank you for checking. I don't, I'll have to
Because
check with them.
the monthly attachment point is actually higher on, like it's 53,492 on a month that's 671. And then
Something's going wrong with that
50.
formula. I'll get you.
We're still okay because our total employees is 47 and we've set aside 472,000, so that'd be around that 1,168. I think that math checks out. 47 times 1168 is your 472, right?
Right.
So it's just that, this per employee per month, those 2 months are outliers that are probably incorrect, I would imagine.
Yeah, I'll double check on the formula in that.
But just from bird's eye view, that 472,851 looks right to be 1160,830 times 47.
It should be both of those columns together. 630 divided by 414.
Yeah.
So there's a formula wrong in that last category. I'll get that corrected and get that sent to Nita so you guys can have a correct one. But yeah, something's wrong with that column, figuring out that PEPM. Because I think it should be actually a little bit higher than that. But great catch. I was looking at the bottom numbers and not even at that.
And this here is basically what we're paying, the county pays,
That's what you put into your reserve account.
okay?
And then on a monthly basis, that premium billing comes out. And then when claims occur, then benefit management just sends what they call a request for funding on a weekly basis. And then dollars are pulled out of that account to cover them. So that doesn't mean that's what you're spending.
Yeah.
Just like right now, what we'll go through right now, and you can see so far this year, there's been about 6 through September, and we don't have October reports yet. That's only the 3rd. We'll have those in the next week or so, but you can see you've had about $600,000 in medical claims this year. You've had about $80,000 in pharmacy claims for a total of almost $680. The next column of that 680, what you have paid is that aggregating deductible, that one time, so you've paid that column, that $50,000. You've paid all of that we have a laser, and that's where if someone does not get approved at the $45,000 because of ongoing prognosis, and course of treatment and those kind of things. You did pay that additional $130 because you have the first $45 you already would have paid, and it was $130. So you've got $130 extra there. And then there's a few dollars that you can see that there was some run out, paid claims under prior spec contract. That was paid by the reinsurance carrier.
Backing up just a little bit, we went from from this deductible, or from here to the.
I skipped over that for just a second.
Okay,
Yeah, I'm
we're
sorry.
coming back.
We're gonna come back to that. I was actually gonna go through what the county has paid so far of the 680 would be the aggregating deductible of 50, the additional 130 on that laser. You can see the second laser, nothing's been paid out on it so far. That means that person has not hit $45,000. And then the outside contract, those are case management, medical necessity reviews, not a lot of dollars. You paid those, and then so your net paid claims of $322. So if we add those 4 columns, the aggregating deductible, the 130, that's 50,000, the 130 on the one laser, the outside contract, and the net paid claims together, that's about $405,000, or excuse me, $505,000. on those 5 columns. What reinsurance has paid so far is the over specific column of 170,000, and paid under prior spec contract was reinsurance carrier last year of about 3,600. So total of this big total, this 679, reinsurance has paid 173, almost 174 of it, and so that leaves you with that 504, 505 number that's come out of your claims account this year.
And we've paid in 472.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're taking that a little more than we're paying in.
Which we talked about last year, that there would be
Yeah.
a chance that you would get into your reserves a little bit this
Yeah.
year. But that's from a standpoint, that is, in most years, even when we've had a large claim or something, we've been able to still add a little bit to the reserves. This year, that's not the case. You're
Just
gonna be-
because we've had some outliers that were a little more expensive.
Right, well, really, from a standpoint of how the year's gone, really just this extra 130 has been what has really impacted that.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
And we were expecting that was probably going to be spent this year,
yeah,
based off what was going on. Because if you take that 130 off, you're adding to your reserves again. But your reserves are, you know where that's at right now,
Crazy.
1.5?
I don't know, let me look real quick.
so there's really not a need to adjust, even though that we dipped into it a little bit. We're not talking big numbers as far as what we dipped into it, but there's no need to adjust really where we're at. Because most years, we end up building anyway. This is just,
Right,
this is why we have the,
why you have the reserve is exactly for this type of situation.
1.8.
Yeah, you're sitting at 1.8, so if you think about it, in most years, like last year, for example, if you flip the page real quick, you can see last year in claims, total claims paid, $519,000. You paid all of that except for $1,000, so the reinsurance carrier won on your plan last year. That paid under prior spec contract, 1,000, that's all the reinsurance carrier paid last year. So you, all in last year in claims, you spent $518,000 on your medical plan. And you put in 679 into that last year. So you raised it went up again,
The reserves.
your reserves. At 1.8, we really don't want those reserves any higher. I mean, even when we go through here and we talk about what your renewal is and stuff, my suggestion this year is going to be, even with some potential things for next year that are going to pop up, is not to change what you're doing right now and you just use reserves for next year as well, because you typically don't want to have, I don't say you don't want to have, because the rule of thumb is about 1.5 to 2 times on claims in your reserves for a year. And most years you spend between 5 and 6 on claims. And so,
yeah, so right now, we're 700,000 higher than what you would consider industry standard.
right, yeah, which is not,
It's not a
the other
terrible
thing is
thing,
your
but
size of group being where you're at, you're not a 400 or 500 life employer. And so one claim can impact you significantly. So even though industry standard's 1.5 to 2 times, I would say that where you're sitting, I'm comfortable with, just because we're gonna have, there's a potential of a situation next year that could get you back towards that 2 times in your reserves.
yeah,
Yeah. So, but, so that was last year, and then, any questions on last year's? Actually, last year ended up being a very, very good year, all said and done. Added to your reserves a little bit, had an average claims year. This year, though, we're gonna end up, on this year, we're gonna get into those reserves a little bit more, because you are, right now, the reinsurance carrier is picking up claims on the one that has gone over. So that's not coming out of your pocket, so it's just really gonna be these last 3 months, just your normal things unless something pops up. So But we're gonna end up spending a little bit more of your reserves this year.
Yeah.
Probably not a ton more than that 30.
Do we have a rough number, or, I mean, it depends on how this last 3 months goes, I guess, but do we have just a rough spitball number?
I don't, Nita, did you happen to look at what those, have you seen those requests this month? Are they in October, or not this month, but in October, were they fairly significant?
We just had one come through that was huge. Like, was it yesterday or this morning?
Yesterday, yeah.
It was like
Like a
40,000.
About 40.
40,102. That was yesterday. Most of them are maybe 10,
Or under,
under
yeah.
10,000. But this one is big.
You've been averaging spending about 70 to 75,000 a month on claims. And so even with that, but the one that came in.
75,000?
Is what you've been, through 9 months, you
Total,
spent
yeah.
Oh.
670, yeah. I mean, there's some, like, we've had a month where you had
75,000
200,000 came through back in July. So that was a big month. But then you have some smaller months earlier on, like 33, 45, now we've gone back down in September to 52. The one that just came yesterday actually will show up on November, not on October. So October, if those were running, there's a good chance those ran in that same 50 to 60,000 range. I just don't have those numbers
Yeah,
yet.
no, that's fine.
And there's no way really to predict the last couple of months here.
Yeah.
On that. But I mean, I don't think that based off your reserves, I don't think based off of knowing that our one situation is now being covered by stop loss for the rest of the year, that's not gonna impact your plan, or impact your claims reserves. We'll just have to see how it ends up going. But again, you're still in, the good news is you're still in great shape based off the reserve you've been able to get over the last. Because that reserve at one point had come down quite a ways, this has probably been 7, 8 years ago.
Yeah.
And now over the last 7, 8
Built
years,
back
you've
up.
built it back up again. Which is a good thing. Any questions on the medical side? Okay, real quick, dental, dental is what it is, it's very predictable. On third page, you'll see that dental so far this year through September is a little upside down, not a ton. Last year it ended up a couple thousand upside down. Again, it all comes from the same fund. And how's this?
It's really not a big enough deal to make much of a difference.
Right. In the whole-
I mean, if it goes bad, it's not enough to move the needle, really.
Well, and it can't really go bad, just
Yeah.
because you have a calendar year,
$500.
$500
Yeah.
a year per participant. I mean, it's just,
Yeah, it is
And
what it
Did
is.
we up that to 1,000?
Did we?
Yeah.
Oh, 1,000. See what she,
we did that 2 years ago, didn't we? Yeah, but still, even with 1,000, I mean, it's, when you look at this, most people are just getting their preventive care a couple times a year, and they don't even come close to that 1,000. And now a couple root canals can get you there, one sometimes. But again, the plan doesn't pay over that, so you're protected in that regard.
Okay.
Okay? The last page here is just giving you an update on the large claim. This is the only large, nobody else spent over 50% of your spec, so nobody spent $22,500, which typically your group has 2 or 3. But you have one that has gone over that, and you can see at the top, the total claims, it says paid year to date, you can see what that is. That number is a large number. And so over, but we had, and you can see the specific limit wasn't 45, it was 175. Do you, it might be a good idea to go into executive session for about 10 minutes.
Okay.
Discuss non-elected personnel.
Yep.
I make a motion that we go, you want to do it right now?
Yeah.
I make a motion that we go into executive session for 10 minutes to discuss non-elected personnel including the commissioners, Mike, Nita, county attorney,
And Lisa?
and Lisa. Second.
Been moved and seconded, we go into executive session for non-elected personnel for 10 minutes. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carried.
Okay, so the proposals you have in front of you, you have your current is in column 1. And as you go down the current, you can see it's the 45,000 with the $50,000 aggregating specific. That you can see what you pay in premiums for that coverage over that amount what the stop loss carrier pays, or what you pay the stop loss carrier, excuse me. So it totals based off of current enrollment about $172,000. As we go to the renewal, they're asking for about a $13,000 increase, which quite frankly, based off of what they'll end up paying this year, I think is a little bit of a gift in that regard. Which is good. But then if you look at the next one, option 1, you can see it was a little bit higher, and option 2 was actually a little bit lower by about 25,000. Now, as we go on down the current, keep going down the current column, you can see your aggregate stop loss, what you were setting aside for claims was actually going to be about 657, and then again, that's based off your current enrollment. That's actually coming down a little bit with your current, because everybody else is doing okay, besides with the situation we talked about. If you went to option 1, it's about the same. Option 2 would be a little bit higher, so that would be like your worst case scenario on claims that are below the 45,000. But then you can see the laser liability on the next column, where it's at now, where it go to with the incumbent, but that option 2, which is about $25,000 less on the annual specific premium back at the top under the fixed cost. Annual specific premium was 25 less, but your risk to move to that is the potential that it could be $100K more. Does that make sense on the laser? Now, one big change that is happening, you'll see on the administrative costs, and this is something that has been going on all year long. Benefit management, their rates have changed, and it's due to the size of your group. It's due to the No Surprises Act that came out earlier this year, with all of the things that your group is going to have to do in the future from an administrative standpoint. There's some transparency things that benefit management's going to have to do for you guys and your members to make you compliant. That is going to be very difficult. Not difficult, it's something you can't do on your own, but it's something they've had to add a complete new department to do for you, for the self-funded plans. So anybody who is 100 and below, they've gone to this $35 if you have less than 100 employees. That's not out of line by any means. We've gone to the market on several groups this year. If you have 35, your size of group right now is, I'll just say, like if you were self-funded with one of the major carriers right now in the state, you would be paying close to $60 to $70 for all in. And one thing I do want to point out, that consulting fee, that's what we get paid, at $20.
So it's
Yeah, that's not changing. But if you take that 20 off that 69, that puts benefit management at 37 before, at 49 now. And that's not just benefit management, that's your network fees are in there, and there's some other things in there. But you would be probably $15 to $20, $25 higher if you were with somebody else still, even with this change. Okay, so I know it's an increase, and you can see from the increase it's about a little over $8,000 to run the plan, that they'll do that. But they're going to be doing a ton of stuff for you guys. And that means that there's no loan, they're not gonna charge you for like card reprints, they're not gonna charge you for sometimes, if you make changes on the plan, amendments, those kind of things. They're just putting everything together and saying, okay, we're gonna quit nickel and dime on that stuff, but we're gonna get to market rates. And with all the new stuff that we're gonna have to do for the plans, that's what we're going to.
Inflation.
I mean,
I
it's.
don't know that anything hasn't went up. I'm getting used to this conversation.
No, I mean,
Hey,
it's-
this went up for the next year.
Yeah, well, I mean, the problem is it's not necessarily what's happening for your plan right now, it's what the plans, I mean, when I say transparency, so what has to happen is you will have to have a place where members can go to see what it would cost for them to have something done at Stafford Hospital, at Great Bend or KU campus, and so that's what they have to build that now for your plan, being a self-funded plan. It's your responsibility that members have that, but they have to build that. That's one piece of it. There are some new testing requirements that they have to do without getting into the weeds too much on it. But there was something that was put in place about 10 years ago called mental health parity, in which your mental health benefits have to be the same as any other benefits. And so there's a whole new testing part of that has to come out. Nothing that there's no way that you could do it, there's no way I can do it. They're the only ones that can do it. And it has to be sitting there on a shelf that if ever your self-funded plan got audited, that benefit management could just hand it over to you and let you give it to the auditors. And that in itself is probably a 4 to 6 month process of getting all that, because it takes into consideration pre-certification. They have all of these testing things that they have to do to make sure that mental health is not being treated any differently on your plan than going to a normal primary care. So there's about 10 of those things that are coming down. So that's why it's there. And again, 8,000 is $8,000, but it's still, it's way within the market of what you would do if you were outside of them. So looking down at the bottom, you can see that from a fixed cost perspective with that increase, with the increase on the specific premium up above, that we're talking about 22,000 on the fixed cost for the year. If you look at that annualized combined coverage down there, about 22. Then this expected liability, you can see overall, that is, I don't really like this form that we have here, but the maximum overall, liability is going from about 1.086, that's what you would have been setting aside for all in to pay your fixed costs and everything. If you add in the laser dollars, the new laser dollars above, it would be at 1.281. That's what I suggest, that we leave everything the same and we just use reserves for that 200 additional on that. And if you look at that last column right there, again, we could save on fixed costs, but look at what that maximum overall liability could potentially be on that last one is another 120,000 on that one. So the renewal, in my opinion, even though I'm a fixed cost guy, I just think from an overall in the potential of that laser, you're better off staying right where you are this year on this plan, using the reserves for that additional two. It'll end up being 2, because if you remember, I just thought about this, we're already using some reserves this year for those. So it'd be a little bit more than that if you keep your funding right where it's at. And then the back page is just moving to a 50,000, and it doesn't make sense at all. They're not giving you any much premium savings. We always look at the, going from column 2 is your actual renewal, column 3 is a 50,000, so you'd be taking, option 3 it says right there, that would be going to a $50,000 specific versus the 45. Does that make sense? But you would only save about $12,000 to do that. So you'd be taking on 5,000 risk on every individual, save 12,000. I would say if that was 20,000, then it might be, because that's a 4-to-1 ratio, $5,000 increase to $20,000 savings, 12,000 they're saying stay put, is what they're saying. So I don't even think that's worth looking at this point. We did have a lot of declines, obviously, because of the one, but those were the three that came back. Any questions?
I think I have any.
And then what I would get to Nita, if we did do this renewal, I would just get her a spreadsheet that shows the current funding. And because this right here doesn't give you if you look down towards the bottom, the way that BML's putting this, the benefit management's putting this together, it doesn't give you a per tier, throwing everything together, it just gives you a maximum. Like if we look at the family, for example, the family specific rate is $468.92. Then you have your attachment, what you set aside for claims is $17.93, and then you have to put that $57.65 on that and get a final number. They're not showing up on here, so I would get that to Nita to have for a funding purpose. No, it's more for your benefit. I'll get that to you. So. Other than that, all we would need is a mark in the box at the bottom, and a sign and a date at the very bottom.
I guess I think we ought to do that renewal, don't you guys?
Yep.
Sounds like it would be the best option.
Makes most sense.
Then what I'll do is get you guys, we'll make it through, get some of the run out, and then we'll just schedule a time to get you guys updated on everything else, probably in that March time frame of next year, to know where everything's sitting, how this year finally ended up, and then how we're looking for the rest of the year. Keep you up to speed on it.
When does our year begin?
January 1.
Okay.
Can we change the 1st of November?
Yeah.
And then next year go January.
There you go.
I have these that they sent me.
Uh-huh.
I waited till now to make sure there weren't any changes, so I'll get this stuff to you too.
Okay, that's fine.
Whoever sent it to me, did you send it?
Just go ahead and send it back to me, because with the changes going on in account management
There's a lot
right now.
of changes
Yeah.
going on.
We
Okay.
are really watching from an administrative standpoint. They've had a big shift. They've had a lot of turnover like a lot of people over the last, since the pandemic's occurred, there's been a lot of people looking for other jobs, and they've been no different than a lot in that the turnover has been quite high. And so we've struggled with some service. The one thing we haven't heard much from is your employees and their claims. I don't know if you guys have heard much on that at all,
Not really.
but that's one thing that's still going. Where I've had the struggles is with their account management team getting things that I need and stuff like that. Some a little bit on the billing side of things, they've had a lot of turnover there too, so sometimes that's been an issue. But from the actual claims for your members, we're not hearing a lot of problems with those. So, but we're keeping a pretty good. I may be sitting here next year saying, guys, this is turning into a dumpster fire, and we need to find a new administrator. But right now, we're just keeping a pretty good watch on it, just to make sure. So
Yeah.
okay.
Alrighty.
Yep, and on that, if there's no changes, I think there's not a lot to do. We can schedule time to go through it if you want to.
Okay, yeah, let's do.
Okay, yep, let's just do that.
Thanks,
Okay.
Mike.
Yep, thank you guys.
Appreciate it.
All right, have a great day.
Where you gonna drive back to?
Me?
Yep.
I just moved in.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah. This
It's
works
easy.
out. This is an easy. This is one of those you wake up in the morning, yes,
Yeah.
I'm going to St. John.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you
We
later.
don't need a
How long
motion
do you
or
want
anything.
executive?
Huh?
Let's say 10 minutes and then we can adjourn afterwards.
You also need to decide about the extra day at Christmas.
Yeah, and I'd like to talk about the ARPA deal too.
Because people are trying to get their vacation scheduled, so they need to know.
I thought that's what we talked about in executive session.
Okay, I didn't know where you were going.
Yeah, let's do 15.
Okay.
Okay,
And then we don't have anything else after?
unless, well, if you're gonna approve that, we need it in the minutes.
Okay, yeah. So, yeah,
I mean,
we'll go in for 15, come back out, we may have action.
Okay.
I make a motion that we go into executive session to discuss non-elected personnel
Yep.
for 15 minutes, including the commissioners Nita and Mike.
Second?
Second.
2 seconds.
I didn't know.
That's a
we-
third.
It's been moved and seconded. We go into executive session for 15 minutes for non-elected personnel. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carried.
Into the office like one day a month.
That's what they say.
Yeah.
Okay,
If you want your office to run it correctly though.
There you go.
I make a motion that we designate Monday, December 27th as an additional holiday for county employees for Christmas.
I'll second that.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. We adopt December 27th as a holiday for county employees. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carried. Anything else?
Nope.
We're done.